So, welcome everyone. I am Adriana Dominguez, and I'm going to talk to you today about reclaiming wellness in tech. What tech doesn't teach you, Comunidad does. And I am currently in New York. I live in New York for anyone who is also in this area, but would love to know also from where you're connecting. So, feel free to drop in the chat where you're connecting from and would love to hear more about people's community learnings as well as I talk about my own learnings. So, I will tell you a bit about myself, my journey, and what I have learned from community. I think in my experience, a lot of the lessons I've learned, not only from tech, but from community, have helped me shape what I know and my identity, but also how I can feel more successful in other aspects of my life. So, about me, these are my tech specs. I am a product manager currently. I have a background in analytics, but I am also a yoga teacher. I'm a Zumba teacher. I'm also a coach and a speaker. And I am Mexican American, as you can see from my picture. And a lot of these things that I have here, actually, I was not planning on becoming. I never really thought about getting into wellness, for example. I never really thought about becoming a speaker. But these are all things that I learned along the way, and I felt really compelled to do it because I saw other people doing this from my own communities, and I felt inspired to do the same. So I'll tell you a bit about my own journey. And something that you'll notice is that it's kind of not linear. And I've been told I have a strange journey sometimes, or that I've been told that I have a non traditional journey in tech because of the different roles and the different titles that I've taken on. So I was born and raised in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's a very small town. I moved to Mexico City when I was 16 with my family, mostly due to economic struggles. And mind you, I was 16. I was relearning the language. Spanish was my first language, but because I was in Tennessee, obviously I spoke in English. But when I moved to Mexico, it was very much a culture shock. And it was something that I had to do to learn to adapt to a culture that was my own, learn more about the customs, learn the slang. And it was really interesting to me to just learn more about my own culture and my own traditions. So in Mexico City, I went to school there. Like I finished high school there. I went to the UNAM and I studied actuarial science. Um, Realized later that I hated it, and I took up some programming classes and fell in love with coding. I fell in love with the idea of just being able to build things and being able to talk to a computer basically and build something out of our own vision. So I learned SQL, I learned C, and I just had a lot of fun with this. Now, out of school, I decided to go into a salesy job, and so it was still within a technology company. I actually worked at SAS for a bit, and that really opened my eyes to the importance of communication and the importance of knowing how to translate analytics to business and how analytics can be impactful to a business. Pro tip for any of you that are coming out of school: the more you know how to translate how analytics can help a company, the more powerful you will feel in your own meetings, and the more you will be able to feel successful in how you explain analytics to someone who is maybe not so savvy in tech. So from there, I became a data scientist. I was working for a bit in consulting, and this also opened my eyes to my own strengths. I realized early on that I was really good at explaining complex things to clients that were not so much into analytics or did not have this background. Eventually, I realized I really liked working with people. I became a people and culture lead, worked a lot in people operations, worked a bit as a chief of staff. So I learned a lot about the strategy and business operations behind a team. And I thought that was really cool. And it expanded me to learn more about what portfolio a company has. And finally, that led me into what I do now, product management. And the skills I've acquired across my career have really helped me in my current role. I work a lot with people. I work a lot with engineers, a data scientist, and I do a bit of sales in my own job. So my trajectory, now that I look back, I'm like, oh, this makes sense now that I would land in this. In the future, I don't know exactly what I want to do. I think I change roles maybe like every 2 to 3 years. I don't know if this is because I just get bored, but I always want to try something new. I think in the future, I would love to see myself as an entrepreneur, more speaking, maybe become an author. And you might be thinking, okay, well, why? Like, why are all these different things popping up? And honestly, it's because of the community. Community has led me to think about more things that I could do with my life and more things that I could expand into. So I've been in New York for the last 7 years, and a lot of the things that I realized that I have learned throughout my career have been really solid foundations from tech. And some of the things that you might resonate with, and would love to hear if anyone in the chat, if you want to add things that I learned from tech, you can see here are, for example, problem solving. We're great problem solvers. Problem solving under pressure is key. Being able to break down a problem into sprints or into chunks is really helpful and is honestly really a life skill. Being data driven and using data to make decisions or help others make decisions is super important. Understanding metrics, how to set those metrics up, how to measure them so that others can make key decisions. Being agile, being able to move quickly, adapt, pivoting when something is failing. I think failure is something that I've learned about as well in tech. Is if you fail, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going wrong. Maybe something's going wrong, but you can take those lessons also to your life. Having an innovation mindset is something I've learned from tech. I think I've become a lot more creative. Stakeholder management is key. If you have worked with difficult people, you probably know this, but being able to work with people of all kinds of industries, all kinds of backgrounds is super important in tech. Not everyone comes from tech, again, so really important to know how to navigate conversations. And finally, analytics translation. One of the things I learned in consulting was not everyone likes this. And so if this is something that you can do and you're really good at it, you're going to be a superstar. So those are things that so far I've learned in tech. There are many, many more. But there are also things that tech did not teach me. So because for a while I was really focused just on my career and I was just focused on working, tech didn't teach me how to deal with burnout. Like, it taught me how to debug code. But if you think about ourselves kind of like an algorithm, it didn't teach me how to fix that piece of me that would burn out and that would easily doubt myself. It did not teach me what to do if I was lacking confidence, and it did not teach me what to do if I was feeling out of place. And so these kind of things for me felt sometimes difficult to talk about with colleagues because there was a time where I was just focused on work. I did not have any other hobbies. I was just focused on making sure I was, doing the right thing at work. And there was a time where it was just me going to the office, working, staying maybe until 7 or 8 p.m., sometimes in consulting until like 1 or 2 a.m., and then coming home. And that was basically my day. And I felt really alone in that. I felt like I couldn't really talk to anyone about it because so many people were like, well, this is just how it is. You should be grateful. You should be grateful that we are here. Everyone wants this. And it was just very tough. So that's where community comes in. I think community has been so important for myself. And I feel for others to learn other skills that maybe tech doesn't teach you, and how to protect yourself, how to protect your energy working in tech, or even just in general corporate spaces. I could go on also about other things that I've learned in corporate, and always happy to give advice on this because of the own learnings I have had. So why community? Why are we talking about this? Where does it come from? So community has always been important to humans. It's always been a way for us to survive. It's been a way to share resources. Originally, we used it as a way to protect ourselves from predators and from rivals. We created tribes. We shared knowledge that way. We shared stories. That's how we created culture. We really need it for the social aspect. That's how we stick together. Like humans, we need community to survive. And now fast forward to today's world, there's a lot of different things that community can give us depending on where you are. And of course, community in your world might be different slightly from where you live, your own values, your beliefs. But in essence, community can teach us a lot. So I will focus on 3 main learnings that I have had from community so far. There are many, many more, but I'm going to focus on the following 3. 1, how to navigate burnout and practice your resilience and joy. Two, how to create or be part of spaces to feel like you belong and you don't feel isolated. And then three, learn how to be authentic and confident and battle imposter syndrome. And I see some of you in the chat, this resonates. I feel like this is something that becomes more and more explicit every time I see something about, talk about imposter syndrome. Every time I go to a networking event, people talk about it. So it's nice that people are talking about it. I think 10 years ago or more, when I had entered the workforce, there weren't a lot of people talking about it. So I'm so happy that it's out there. There's more about this. And it's just something that we can celebrate, that we actually need community. It teaches us literally how to be a human in a busy work life. So with the first one, community teaches us resilience and joy to help fight burnout. Now, community reminds us that healing is collective. It's something that we do together, that we can learn from each other. Here, there's a picture of me in aerial yoga being upside down. And there was a week leading up to this where I was just burnt out. Like, it was one of those weeks where I felt like nothing was going right. And I went to this class, and the scariest thing for me was flipping upside down, but I did it. And afterwards I was like, wow, I actually feel great. Like, I feel amazing. This is so much fun. And something that the teacher said was, you need to find ways to find joy in life. Like, it's, we're so busy, and like in New York and like big cities, really everywhere, like where everyone feels like they're, taking tons of Red Bulls and like on their way to the next thing. Being able to figure out what gives you joy is key. And it's a survival technique. So embrace the play. Exactly, Vidya, embrace the play. So what brings you joy? If you watched Marie Kondo and her Tidying Up Netflix show, I definitely was watching it. And this question of what brings you joy has been on my mind for quite a while now. These are just some pictures of the things that I like to do here in New York. There's lots of communities that I go to and that I'm part of. So for example, like I said, I'm a yoga teacher. I love doing yoga. Yes, someone knows about Cultura Takeover. Annie has created an amazing, beautiful group in New York where people get together, and it feels almost like a family reunion, because you're like, oh my God, it's so and so. Oh my gosh, it's so, and everyone's like hugging and like, I hadn't seen you, and everyone just leaves being like, oh my gosh, I feel so full. So that's the best feeling. So finding that kind of community, finding out where you feel that way, so then you can bring that joy, and you can bring maybe micro doses of joy throughout your week so that you can get through those difficult moments. I went to a reality TV watch party last night to watch Love is Blind with some friends. And like, that brings me joy. So figure out what kind of things could make you feel a bit more whole if you need. Now, this brings me to what I like to call an energy calendar. And so this is just an example, but it was inspired off of a conversation that I had with a mentee of mine. And so she was saying, oh my gosh, I feel so burnt out because I already know the year ahead of me that's coming. I'm getting married. And then I have all this family stuff. And then I have work. And then I don't know if I'm going to be promoted. And I was like, whew, let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. So I said, why don't we, and this was like back in January last year, I said, why don't we sketch out what are the months that you know you're going to be stressed out? And we started mapping out. She said, okay, well, I know March, this is going to happen. I know August, this is going to happen, et cetera. And so we started planning that out. And I said, so why don't you also plan something self-care related or something that is just going to be for you during those months so that you make sure you have some balance. So an example, this is an example kind of from my stuff, but also from like other friend stuff. But for example, let's say you have a big meeting at work, and there's big meetings, like I have big meetings all the time in October. So I'm definitely going to schedule time with friends. Maybe I'm going to go schedule some volunteering time. Maybe I just have a dance party at home. I don't know. No one's watching. So have something that will help you so you can better prepare. I know this sounds like a lot of planning. It kind of is. I'll be honest, I'm not always the best person with this either. But having some sort of sense of what's coming in the future so you can plan that out is definitely helpful. I talk about it openly with my friends now, where we say, you know what, I'm going to have a really difficult next few months because of work. Do you mind if we meet up and like, we don't even have to talk. Can we just like watch TV, or can we just go for coffee at the park? Can we just go to yoga together? Like, we don't even have to talk to each other. Like, we can just do something together. So that's been really helpful. It's been something that has also made me more conscious of ways that I can create micro rituals throughout my day, and it's something I can look forward to. So I can maybe say, okay, I'm having this difficult day, but I have this thing with my friends planned later, and that's going to help me keep me going. Again, this might help, this might not, but I think planning it out has definitely helped me. So feel free to take this. You can also do it on a week to week basis instead, depending on what works for you. The second lesson in community. Community teaches us belonging and not to feel isolated. I have seen terrible managers and I've seen great managers in my life. I'm sure many of you have as well. I think the great managers, the great leaders really know how to make people feel like they belong, and that makes a team work so much better. Being able to have someone say, I'm so happy you see me, and I'm so happy I feel important. I think throughout my own life, I've always felt, kind of confused with my own identity, being Mexican American. When I was in the US, it was like I was more Mexican. When I was in Mexico City, it was like, oh, eres más gringa. So it was always difficult for that reason. And it really made me think, I don't know who I am. Like, who am I? So one thing that I did with a career coach that I thought was super helpful was the following exercise. And he asked me, what do you feel like you identify with? Like if I were to ask you who you are, where would you start with? And I was like, oh, easy. I'm Mexican American or Chicana. I'm a woman. I'm Latina. That's it. Like, I'm first gen. That's it. That's who I am. And he said, well, yes, but you have parents, you have siblings, you have friends, right? So you're also a daughter, you're a sister, you're a friend. And I was like, okay, sure, yes. And I said, okay, so this is who I am. And he goes, no, there's still more actually. And this is where I was like, okay, where are you going with this? We ended up making a list that ended up being almost like 30 lines. This is not all of them, but essentially I had yogi, I had dancer, I'm plus size, I'm a writer, I'm a reader, I'm an athlete. And you can see at the very bottom, I have analytics professional. And it was eye-opening to me that I was like, oh, wow, I don't identify completely as what I do. Obviously, there's so much more to me. And he said, great, this is our list we're going to work with. The next thing you do, you make a table. On one hand, you have identity. And on the other hand, you have a scale from 1 to 5. And each one, you're going to rate them from 1 to 5 on how satisfied they are. So as an example, let's say my Mexican American is a 2. Maybe for Latina, I was dancing all weekend to Bad Money, so I feel amazing. I'm a 5. Versus maybe as a yogi, I'm a 2 because I haven't been to yoga, and maybe I need a class. And maybe as a reader, I haven't caught up on my book, and I'm in a book club. Like, maybe there's something that I need to do there. And then we analyzed, how did each piece of me feel, essentially. So I was like, okay, so maybe if I'm low in Mexican American, it means that I'm homesick. For me, sometimes that means either making a dish that I really like or ordering from my favorite Mexican place. My Chilanga side, maybe I go see my Mexico City friends. Maybe I eat something also from home. Maybe I call a friend. Like, I don't consider myself an amazing gamer, but I love playing Mario Party. I have not played Mario Party in a few weeks, and I'm like, man, I really need to play a game. Like, I need to set the time to do that, but I've been so busy. So this is where you can see, okay, maybe I need something. Maybe I need to take care of myself a little bit more. But it makes you question, what do I need in a different way? Because sometimes, you got the basics, like, am I hydrated? Did I eat well? Did I sleep well? Am I eating my vegetables? Things like that. But then there's also another layer that can help your identity. So for example, like, maybe you're like, oof, you know what? I don't feel like, for like women, like, I don't feel so feminine. Maybe I'll like dress up cute. Or maybe you're an athlete and you're like, man, I haven't gone running. I really need to go for a run, and I'll feel stronger and I'll feel better. And all of that is going to help you feel more confident in other areas of your life. So the more you know who you are, and the more you have clear of your identities and who you are and what those parts of your identities are, it's going to be more difficult for that noise outside to shake you. In yoga, there's a pose that's called the tree pose. And I like teaching this because it teaches you to really ground yourself into the ground so that you can hold your balance. And it's very similar to life. When you are grounded in your own identity, the noise around you will lose power. making it much easier to hold your balance no matter what's happening outside of you. And this makes you question more of like, what is it you need? What is it that this could expand to, like, if you're a manager or a leader, what is it my team needs? This year I saw some people at work who had family loss. And so we talked about, what is it you need right now? Do you need us to help you with something more at work? Like, do you need to take an extra day off? I left an unsafe situation, and my manager asked me, "What do you need? Like, do you want to take time off? Like, what do you need? How can we help?" And that has been really powerful to me, and like understanding how is it that I can not only help myself but also help my other community. So it's been very helpful in that way to frame it this way. And yes, you can definitely get overloaded. Definitely get overloaded. Don't do this exercise if you feel like it's a lot. Start with one or two. But yes, I think it's an exercise that you can do over time. That exercise I showed is something that I did over the course over a few weeks with a career coach. And little by little, I start to identify where I want to focus. And something that you can do is you can say, well, maybe this month I'm just going to focus on a few aspects of my identity. Maybe I'm just going to focus on a few things. Maybe next month I'll leave it for something else. But being able to navigate that and being able to structure where you're going to focus your energy is key as well. You don't want to burn yourself out doing that either. The last point that community teaches us is authentic confidence to battle imposter syndrome. And so as I mentioned, I've battled with my own imposter syndrome through life. Um, in Mexico City one time, when I was working at a consulting firm, someone asked me, "Oh, but you're from a public school though. You're from the UNAM. Like, how did you even get in?" And it made me feel so out of place. It made me feel like, wait, am I in the wrong place? But like, I went to school, like I did the interview, I got in, like I got hired, like what's the difference? And it really hit my confidence for a bit. I thought, what if I don't belong here? Like, I didn't go to the private schools like these other kids did, and I don't come from that same background. And I thought it was just kind of soul crushing for a minute. This is where hobbies can come in, and having different activities that you go to help your confidence can really help you. So something that I shared last year, actually, and I expanded a bit more on a talk last year that I gave, was about how to battle imposter syndrome with different ways. And so there are different activities that you can do that can help you channel your inner confidence and feel like you are more powerful than you are. And here are just a few of my learnings that I've learned along the way. So, for example, I have done obstacle course races in the past, and things that I've taken back are things like I can allow myself to have fun. Things can get messy, but I'll get through it. Like being in the mud, a lot of fun. I can face my fear of heights. I'm terrified of heights, but got up there anyway. I'm stronger than I think. I gave a class to corporate pero Latinos, and I use this to be able to remind myself I can lead a group of people and create a safe space. I also love, as I mentioned, dancing, and I've been in some dance videos with Diva Dance, which is a lot of fun. And I said I can appear confident on camera, and I can be confident elsewhere. I feel like when I go to, for example, a dance class or like yoga, where I do something challenging outside of work, then I can bring that to work, and I'm in a much better mindset. So I can be like, you know what? I'm going to take on this meeting. Maybe I'm dealing with like a jerk at work. Maybe I'm dealing with someone difficult. Maybe there's something going on that's really, really distracting me. But if I remember everything else that I've done, that's not going to bother me. So here's some affirmations that I had asked ChatGPT to help me with. If you have different hobbies, you can take a look on what things you can learn from these hobbies. For example, if you like to paint, they teach you self-expression and creativity. You can take back my emotions are valid and deserve to be shared. Versus if you love to dance, you learn confidence and expression, and you can express joy and connect with others. So there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways that you can take your hobbies and learn more about yourself, and then that will build up your confidence little by little. Again, you do not have to do everything. Choose one or two with what you can. Do not burn yourself out either. I think it is super important to focus on hobbies. For the longest time, I did not. As I mentioned, I focused mostly on work. There was also a time I couldn't afford it. And now I feel like I can at least focus on the hobbies that I know are the most important to me. I try not to do everything because that also burned me out at some time. So it took me a while to understand and get to know what is it I actually need, like for me to feel better. And this could be different. Like some people love to cook and some people love to bake, and that's them. But find out what you like to do. This could just be something simpler. Oh my gosh, yes, go back to roller skating. Yes. See, I tried roller skating during COVID, failed. I kept falling. So good luck to you. So with that, community can teach us a lot. And the reason we have community is we don't want to feel alone. And honestly, this is how a lot of us feel when we don't have that community. Community, again, can teach us these three main things, but again, there are many, many more. Teach us how to navigate burnout or practice resilience and joy. Learn how you need certain things and how to bring those things either to yourself or to others and feel more comfortable in your own identity or your various identities. And then finally, learn how to be authentic and confident in battle imposter syndrome. These are just a few of the many, many things I have learned from community. I'm super excited to hear more about what you have learned in community. And again, there are different communities you can be part of across the country and even across the world. But this essentially is important. And I wanted to talk about this because I feel like tech and community go so well together. Tech can teach us to build the future. Community teaches us to belong in it. And together, that's how we thrive. Without community, we can't really work as well as we want in tech. And it's one of the life lessons that I feel like will not help you not only in tech, but will also help you in your entire life. And with that, thank you so much. Muchas gracias a todos. My name is Adriana Dominguez. Here's my contact info. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Instagram in case you ever want to also see what other communities I go to. I sometimes share the different networking events that exist. Even if I don't go, like I try to share as much as I can. And also, of course, feel free to email me. So yeah, I'm excited to hear more about your own learnings. And again, feel free to reach out and see you at the rest of the summit.